You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Glad you could join us for this Wellness and Weight Loss Wednesday, where we are going to be covering some plant-based foods that the whole family will love. Why can I guarantee you, almost guarantee you, that your spouse, partner, your parents, your siblings, your kids, everybody will enjoy these? And here's why. Most people are naturally drawn to bread. They love bread. They love toast. They love soft bread. They love, spreading things on the bread. So bread for the sake of bread, like people are like, okay, not so bad. I enjoy bread, but it's what you put on it that can actually make or break the health of it. Now, here's the thing. I do not want to espouse to you all of the health benefits of bread, because I actually don't believe that. I actually don't believe that eating a lot of bread is healthy for you. But here's the thing, and I've said this before, and I'll continue to say it again. People are going to eat it anyway. There's no doubt about that. You're not going to stop people. So if you're a health coach, you are not going to stop people from eating bread. People love bread. So here's what we can do, though. We can make it a whole lot healthier and also tell people maybe once a week, twice maximum, that you would do this. So what I want to share with you today is healthier options of a few different breads, and I'll let you choose the brand that you prefer, paleo, non-paleo, gluten, gluten-free. But the bigger part is this. It's what we put on top that often makes it healthier or brings down that health to an even greater degree. So one thing that I want to share with you is something that's really caught on the last couple of years, let's say the last 5 years or so, and growing. And that's called artisan toast. Artisan toast is an art form in and of itself right now. So if you haven't heard of artisan toast, I just want to give you a refresher, because you probably have. If you go to a breakfast-based restaurant or even a fast food place, you'll see avocado toast on the menu a lot of the time. And if you've never had avocado toast, if you've never heard of avocado toast, typically, well, here's what it was 5 years ago. You'd have a nice long piece of toast, perfectly toasted, and you would have either sliced avocado or typically mashed avocado and maybe some sliced tomatoes spread on top. So you have this piece of toast, but then you have this mountain of avocado, and you have these brightly colored either yellow and red tomatoes, maybe a little parsley on top, or you just might have some sliced red tomato. It looks beautiful, and you know what? For the most part, pretty healthy. Again, it can be pretty healthy for you. So when we look at that, people are like, whoa, that looks amazing. And you know what? It tastes amazing. Put a little sea salt on there if you want. Delicious. Absolutely delicious. So most people know about avocado toast. If you don't, well, this is a big day. You could go onto Google and you could literally type in, well, why don't I do this? I'll do it for you. I'm going to type in, here's what I'll do. I will find a good Pinterest thread for you. And I will put that at stephencabral.com/1405. 1405 is today's show. And I'm not saying that I recommend all of these different recipes. I'm going to give you the recipes that I recommend today. But it's going to give you a place to look for ideas. And then you can click on them and you're like, oh, that's amazing. So here's the thing. Artisan toast has been around a long time. I mean, before it would just simply be an egg, like a sunny side up egg on a piece of toast. And you would look at that and you'd say, oh, well, that's, a nice looking brunch-based food or basically breakfast sandwich, right? But instead of it being a sandwich, it's open-faced. So you get to see all the creations. Again, now an art form. I mean, wait till you see some of these photos. So the thing is this, though. I'm going to give you plant-based versions today, because you could put an egg on some toast. I mean, again, you could just slice up avocado, put some tomato on there, maybe a little bit of olive oil, and then you can put that egg right on top if you wanted to. I've had that before. It's absolutely delicious. I mean, it's incredible. And so you can put the egg on or not, right? That's the difference. If you want some protein on there, great. There it is. Now, you can also do this with just some sliced salmon. A lot of people do some smoked salmon. I'm sure you've seen that before, right? So that's been around a long time. Salmon with toast, salmon on toast. And you could slice some cucumber. Again, you could pull out a mandolin. You could, do really long strips of cucumber sliced vertically instead of horizontally. Make them nice and thin. And salmon, cucumber, again, a little bit of olive oil, maybe some capers on there. Delicious, like absolutely delicious. Now, we're going to get rid of the yogurt. We're going to get rid of the cream cheese. We're not doing dairy. This is going to be completely plant-based. So plant-based in this case is going to be no other foods, all vegan-based foods. Now, again, you can add non-vegan foods by adding your favorite egg or salmon or whatever you would like on top. That's totally okay. I'm just going to give you a nice way that if you wanted to introduce plant-only meals for your family, they would start to say, oh, well, this is actually fantastic. And you know what? There's no animal-based products on this. So again, I'm not the person to say you can't have any animal products, but it's certainly a good idea for most people to cut down their consumption of the amount of animal products that they're eating. So just for a nicer anti-inflammatory meal. Now, here's the thing. Let's start off with the bottom, right? Let's start off with the actual what you're putting all these delicious toppings on. And then I want to give you some of my favorite toppings and one thing that I love to do. So we have to decide on the actual bread itself. And again, I'm not here to tell you what to eat and not eat. But what I do is I'm very clinically minded. I will never be able to get out of this mindset, I don't think. I don't think it's a bad thing. Because even when I was overseas, I'm like, well, can we test this? That was always my thought process, but I saw the results, right? So you can't deny results with your own eyes as well. That's why there's not going to be a scientific study for everything. There's not going to be a lab test for everything, but you can see a lot with your own eyes. And so I see people doing things and they're getting well, like they're doing really well. And they're doing things, though, that make sense in the long term as well as the short term. And that's, again, what I've learned with Ayurvedic medicine. Now, not to say that, I'm staring at a huge book in my library, one of the biggest and thickest ones, about 5-6 point font, called Scientific Basis for Ayurvedic Therapies. Author name, or at least contributing author name, is Mishra. And so when you look at that, that is close to 1,000 pages of tiny font of all different scientific studies proving Ayurvedic medicine, like from a medical research perspective. So we know these things work, okay? But here's the thing, though. If you want to know if gluten affects you from at least an IgG perspective, you can run a food sensitivity test. And I'm not going to kind of go over this over and over, but you can do it right at home. My kids have done it. My wife and I have done it. I've had my parents do it. I just prove it to them, right? And just say, listen, you can either eat it or you can't. This is from a latent reaction. I mean, if you eat a food and you start sneezing or you get mucus in your throat or you get hives or a headache or tiredness, fatigue, lethargy, well, then that's an IgE reaction. Keep track of those on your own. You don't have to pay money for that. The IgG is a day or 2 days later that's causing the skin issues, the migraines, the headaches, the brain fog, the tiredness. So what we do is we lab test those. You can find those at equilibriumnutrition.com. Again, you can just type in food test. That's it. You'll find it. But again, let's move on from that. So that will tell you if you can eat some gluten or not. And again, very simple binary test, super easy to do. But let's talk. So if you're going to have a gluten-based bread, let me give you some better versions of that. Probably the best version of a bread that's made with wheat would be a traditional, more of an ancient base grain. So a spelt bread could be great, okay? So one made with a little bit more spelt or rye. Those can be great varieties of heartier-based wheat, okay, that do contain gluten, but less gluten, okay? So a little less inflammatory, potentially. Now, let's say you're just going straight wheat. Well, one thing is to get a sourdough-based bread. A sourdough bread oftentimes doesn't even contain any added yeast. It's just what's naturally occurring, no additional. And it's just using a fermented or fermentable-based starter. So those are healthier varieties of a gluten-based bread. A whole wheat, a spelt, a rye can be great varieties. Now, luckily, again, when I was going through this myself over 20 years ago, before gluten-free was all the rage, I had a difficult time getting any bread because, again, I'm a teenager. I still want to bring a sandwich to school. Like, I want to feel somewhat normal. So all there was rice bread, and it came in the frozen section. And to say that it was edible would be pushing it. I mean, it was dry, it was flaky, it was very grainy, not ideal. I mean, you can use rice flour to make a bread. It's still going to be a little grainy, but you can do it. Back then, I mean, I was eating rice cheese, rice bread. I mean, it was horrible, without a doubt. But now the nice thing is we have better alternatives now. So there's a bunch of brands that you can use. There's a bunch of breads you can use. But here's some ingredients I want you to look for and some things I want you to stay away from. All right. So here's a couple ones. Millet, M-I-L-L-E-T, could make a great bread. Amaranth could make another one. Again, these are tiny seed grains. So these are all grains, by the way. So you can look for that. Some people don't want to do that. I'll give you some paleo alternatives in just a second. But then there's also oat flour, which I typically tend more towards because there's many benefits with oat, and it can be, as long as it says it, gluten-free. So you can get gluten-free oat bread or amaranth or millet. You can even get millet bagels now. But again, I am not promoting these as health foods. I am not saying that you should eat processed flour. I'm not saying that. This is, you're going to do it anyway. You want to be able to enjoy yourself. So don't load up on the bread. The bread is just to hold all of the deliciousness and all of the healthy stuff that we're going to put on top. In just a moment, I'll tell you about that. So really simple. One of the brands that we use and have been using for the past at least couple years, if we make toast for my daughters or ourselves, let's say we do on the weekend, would be, I believe the brand is called Delan's. Let me see if I can type this into the old internet, and I'll just type in Delan's bread, and we shall see. Yes, it's delandbakery.com, and I hope that my favorite bread is not sold out after doing this podcast. But again, I don't eat a lot of it, but on the weekend, if we make breakfast, we might use some of this. So they make organic varieties. Some of these are wheat, some are gluten-free. They have certified gluten-free category. So the bottom line is this: I'm here to promote good work in this industry. That's the bottom line. People direct message me things all the time, and I can't promote everything. So I'm sorry that I can't. If you send me something, I'm not always able to promote it. But Deland does a good job. I mean, that's the bottom line. And I just want to read you over so you can see how clean some of these are. The actual bread itself and the oat bread. Okay, so the actual ingredients, this is it in their oatmeal bread. It's called oatmeal bread. Oatmeal flour, filtered water, sea salt, baking powder. That's how they get it to rise. That's it. 4 ingredients. Well, really only 1. Oat flour. What's the rest? Water, salt, and baking powder. So this is essentially as clean as you can get. 4 ingredients. So if you can do oatmeal, then you may be able to do this particular bread. Now remember, it is not in its whole form like it would be eating a bowl of oatmeal. So a bowl of oatmeal, healthier, but again, we're talking about degrees. When it's processed down to a flour, faster digesting. So that's all. So I just wanted to share this with you. I'll link everything up today. Head on over to episode 1405. You can check out more about this. But all right, so those are just some gluten-free varieties. This isn't the only one. But why I read those ingredients, this is important. There's a lot of popular brands out there. I don't talk negatively about any one or any other brand. It's not because I'm putting myself on a pedestal and saying I don't do that or this. No, I just don't. I don't see the point to talk negatively about other companies where I can build the good ones up. I mean, that's basically the bottom line. But be very careful for products that have tapioca starch listed as one of the first or second base ingredients, or even the third. I don't like that. I think tapioca starch starts to really gum up people's intestines, and I don't love xanthan gum in a lot of things. Now, are there a few products every once in a while that I'll use with some xanthan gum? Yes, and that's xanthan with an X, A-N-T-H-U-M. that can kind of gum up the intestines. So again, I'm not a huge fan of it. Every once in a while, if it's like the last ingredient, yes, as a thickener, because that's what it is, a thickener, fine. I would rather guar gum. It's more expensive though. It can actually act as a great prebiotic, which is why sometimes we use it in some of our products because it is actually a great prebiotic. But anyway, I digress. So that is, you have your regular bread, you have your gluten-free, and the last one is paleo. So paleo breads are typically made from nut flours a lot of the time. So let me go back 1 second. Another great gluten-free variety, you just have to add this in, is buckwheat. A lot of people think buckwheat bread has gluten in it. Buckwheat is actually gluten-free, wheat-free, and I know that it's strange that it's called buckwheat, but buckwheat itself is actually, and the reason why it's not part of that, it's actually it's actually a seed, right? So these seed-based grains are just different, okay? So they're categorized differently, which means it's gluten safe. Again, anybody with celiac, it's a different story. You have to just be very, very careful that there's no cross-contamination. And you should simply contact these bakeries and just say, hey, are they made in a separate bakery? Is there any cross-contamination? And you can simply ask them, right? Because it may or may not be made in a place that is gluten-free safe. Okay, last part, paleo-based breads. I'm not going to give you a specific variety, but here's what you can look for. Almond flour, coconut flour. There's a lot of brands that make breads with those two specifically, coconut or almond flour, or sometimes both. The only thing I want you to think about is with the nut-based flours, they have tons of fiber in them. Now you might say, well, that's a great thing. Well, here's the thing. Yes, fiber is good. Too much fiber at one meal could give you a lot of intestinal cramping or digestive-based issues, especially if you're not ready for it. Now, a cup of a lot of these paleo-based flours can have 25 grams of fiber. I mean, I know that you're probably not eating the whole cup. I understand that. But it's just a lot of fiber. Now, again, does that mean not to eat them? No, it doesn't necessarily mean not to eat them. But you might want to start slow, maybe a slice, and see how that works with your digestive system, okay? So you can look for those varieties. Now, let's talk about the good stuff to put on top and what I love to do. And again, not often, but I still like, it's probably not even once a week. But now that I'm talking about this episode, I actually might make it once a week. This can be a great meal. It really can. So first one's first is if you have not done avocado toast yet, it's a great one to try. Again, it can be a great one to try. We're talking about a bread high in fiber. We're talking about adding avocado, plant-based foods, high in antioxidants, potassium, vitamins, minerals. So first thing you want to do is add a little avocado. People typically enjoy avocado a little bit more if you add a little bit of crushed sea salt or just even the micronized sea salt like the Redmond's Real Salt brand. So avocado, little sea salt on top, absolutely delicious. What else could you add? Well, a lot of people love to add a little olive oil on top. It's extra fat, right? So it's extra. You don't necessarily need to do that. I don't necessarily recommend that. Some people will add a little bit of sliced tomato. That is what I think gives it a nice complement. Slice some tomato or get little cherry tomatoes and just cut them in half, place them right on top. These are great things to do. So now you get all the lycopene in the tomato. You get your sliced avocado, and then now sometimes people want a little bit of texture. Well, here's the thing. This is going to complement almost any of your artisan toast. So if you want a little bit of texture, so avocado's kind of soft, tomatoes, okay, a little bit more of a pop to them, a little bit more of a crunch, but you can add some pine nuts, also called pinolia nuts in Italy. That's what we refer to them as. And the other part is pumpkin seeds. So those are two of my favorites for sure. Pumpkin seeds or pine nuts on any of these things will add a little bit extra crunch. Now, pine nuts are actually a little softer, but they still have some good texture to them. Pumpkin seeds will have more of that crunch. Oftentimes, though, if you want extra protein and even an extra omega-3s, is sprinkle some chia seeds on top. So that's a great thing to do. And there you go. That can be a really nice one. Okay, let's go over a couple more, though. You can make your own bruschetta, depending on how you like to pronounce it, which is really toast the bread. So you can make the bread a little extra crispy, okay? So it has a little bit more crunch to it. Now, on top, instead of adding cheese, we're not going to add cheese to this, and it's not always on there. But what we can do is we can actually, and I'm not going to talk about vegan cheese today. You can always do vegan cheese if you choose to do a vegan cheese made out of cashew milk, etc. But we're going to do sliced cherry tomatoes or sliced heirloom tomatoes. I love heirloom tomatoes. Okay, so heirloom tomatoes are The ones that look a little crazy, they're all misshaped. They're dark purple. Some are dark purple and it almost looks like black. Some are yellow. So you slice those. You can do a slice of the dark red, slice of the yellow, then the blackish purple, and you can kind of make a really nice bruschetta out of this. This is all you have to do. Add some sliced tomato, a little olive oil on there. Okay, you can even put it on top of the crispy bread. It'll soften it just a little bit. Then you're going to add a little bit of arugula or basil, whatever you prefer. Okay, you can shred that up or you can keep it whole. And then on top, we've already done the olive oil. You can do a little bit of balsamic vinegar if you like. And so that's going to give it a nice, sweet-based taste. That's a great one to do, and the family will definitely enjoy that. Okay, let's say you want to make one that has a little bit more substance to it, a little bit for maybe kids will like it more. We'll see. So one thing that we've done before for my daughters is we'll use a pumpkin seed butter, or sometimes I'll use a tiger nut butter, or something of that variety. Less nuts, but actually, so tiger nut's actually not either of those. It's a tuber, it's a root. And then pumpkin seeds is obviously a seed. So we like Sacha Inchi, which are in our Whole Food bars that are coming back in about a week from now. So check those out. So those are great to do. Okay, so you put your favorite nut butter, seed butter, or nut or seed-based butter on there. And then you can actually slice, like beautifully slice strawberries right on top. Or you can put raspberries right on top, whole raspberries, or make your own natural jam. So you can actually get raspberries and just smash them up a little bit. I'll put that sometimes on top of our gluten-free, dairy-free pancakes, and you can put that raw on top. Kids will absolutely love that. One thing my youngest daughter loves is we will put some type of nut butter on there. Again, usually pumpkin seed butter. It's green, which is kind of cool. Kids like that. And then what we'll do is we'll add some Manuka honey. So Manuka honey also has these great natural medicinal-based purposes: antimicrobial, antifungal, antibacterial, so much so that they're actually using it in burn treatment wards and other things in hospitals, believe it or not. So you can check that out if you want, Manuka honey and medical health benefits, and you'll be able to see those as well. So that's a great one. Just a couple more that I want to give you, super, super great, is add microgreens. If you've never done sprouts or microgreens before, check them out. You can get them from sesame seeds or any type that you want. You just basically get sprouts, okay? So these sprouts, alfalfa sprouts, again, microgreens, can be added on top of your avocado, your mashed avocado. Again, you just take an avocado out and I forget the pronunciation of it. Mochayate, I believe. Mochahate. Someone will correct me. But there's, this nice stone bowl if you want to get one. Great holiday gift. And you can make your guacamole in there, but you get the stone, the minerals from that mixing in as well. Now, smash up your avocado, put it right in there, slice some tomato on top, and put those microgreens on there. Again, a little bit of sea salt, absolutely delicious. One thing that I personally like to do is I'll put some of the tiger nut butter, I'll put some of that pumpkin seed butter because I want some protein in there. Now, people think you can't get 15 to 20 grams of protein in plant-based food. You can. It's actually super easy. So I'll just get 2 slices of some gluten-free toast, and I'll put some tiger nut butter. I like all different varieties. So one I might put pumpkin seed butter, one I might put tiger nut butter, whatever it might be. And then on top of that, I'll do maybe some chia seed, but I'll do hemp hearts on there. Don't ever forget about the hemp hearts, right? The hemp hearts are an easy way. I can put a tablespoon on one, a tablespoon on the other. I'm already at about 10 extra grams of protein. Now, on the pumpkin seed butter and all of that, I'm going to get about 4 grams on each piece of toast. So now I have another 8. So now I'm at 18 grams of protein, not even including the toast, which is probably going to have somewhere around 6 grams between the 2 slices. So I'm at 24 grams of protein right there, and that doesn't even include anything else that I add to it. So don't believe that you can't get actually some really good quality protein and nutrition from these plant-based choices. So that's a great one. I love to do that one, and sometimes I'll drizzle, which I will often do with the exact one that I just gave you. Let's just say a pumpkin seed butter, then some hemp hearts or chia seeds, and then I will drizzle some wildflower honey, local wildflower honey on there, which has great benefits as well. Am I talking about a lot? No, probably a teaspoon per slice. and I'll drizzle that right on top. All right, just one or two more, and then I'm going to keep it at that for the today, but I'm going to also link up a Pinterest website with all of these beautiful designs, and you're going to be like, this is incredible. All right, two more. One is simply putting hummus on top. So you can put hummus on top, already has a good amount of protein in and of itself. Toast, hummus on top, and then add whatever you want on top of that. Again, sprinkle on maybe some pumpkin seeds. That would be a really nice thing to do. If you ever need a little bit of that sweet, just a little bit of that raw wildflower honey can be absolutely great. Another one, though, that I wanted to mention that most people will not think about or even believe that it could be that great, I'm going to give it to you right now. This is one that I'm starting to see pop up at restaurants, and I always be like, I thought of that. Like I always say, that was something that I loved, but I'm super pumped that it's coming out to people. So they'll put a squash or a pumpkin puree or a mashed sweet potato on top. And now I know it sounds strange, but if you have warm toast and you have room temp or warm pumpkin on top or squash, and then you put a little bit of cinnamon, a little bit of nutmeg on top, and again, those just sprinkle some pumpkin seeds on top if you want. It's incredible. It is absolutely incredible. Drizzle a little bit of maple syrup if you want. You don't have to do that. I don't typically do that for that one. That is a great way to get in a lot of vitamin A, a lot of antioxidants. And again, if you ever need protein, simple. Add chia seeds, or even better, add hemp hearts on top. Hemp hearts are going to change the flavor dramatically, but they're going to add fiber, they're going to add omega-3, 6s, and 9s, and they're going to add a lot of fiber and protein. It's an incredible go-to plant-based protein and overall fiber and overall nutrients that you can add to any meal. Hopefully this has been helpful. Try it out with your family. Let me know how they like it. Again, episode 1405. You can see all of the different links I provide. I'll link up DeLand Bakery. I'll link up the Pinterest channel. I'll link up anything I can find that can help make this a little bit easier. Thank you so much for tuning into the show. Please do feel free to share this episode with anyone you believe it could serve. Before you go, I wanted to ask you this question. What if I could teach you in just a couple of hours how to transform your thyroid, hormones, adrenal, cholesterol, blood pressure, blood sugar, weight loss, energy, mood, brain, pregnancy, anti-aging, or many other health-related issues? After 20 years in private practice, after seeing and overseeing 250,000 client appointments, I sincerely feel I have the real-world data and have found the answer you've been searching for. So what I've done is spent hundreds of hours of my own time refining what you need to know in order to uncover your underlying root cause health issues and then begin to rebalance the body and bring it back to a state of robust health and wellness. I'm going to teach you exactly what I do in my private practice so you can understand how you got here and now what you need to do in order to heal. You'll receive all of the important success checklists, protocols, and even ways to customize it to make the program fit your busy life. And you'll get all of this at a fraction of the price. Let me save you the time, money, energy, stress, and frustration of not knowing what to do next. Instead of reading dozens of books on the topic and seeing multiple practitioners, I will condense everything that you need to know in just a few hours of video tutorials that you can watch and listen to anywhere. Together, we will make this healing process an enjoyable one that you can take with you for the rest of your life. I wish you all of the best of health and happiness, and I hope to be able to guide you on your healing journey through my health results accelerators. Simply choose the health imbalance you're currently suffering from, and by the end of today, you'll know what went wrong and how to get well again. I guarantee it. For details, head over now to stevencabral.com/courses.